Hello, this is Dr. Lenny Moore, clinical hypnotherapist and celebrity chef. Today I'm going to be in the kitchen with you, showing you how I cook my world famous, delicious brisket, beef brisket. I'm going to show you how to make the rub. I'm going to show you how to make the base. I'm going to show you how to bake it. I'm going to give you the whole 9 yards. So, without further ado, let's get started. These are my ingredients. I like to start with a 3-pound brisket. As you can see, on the flank side is nice and trimmed, the most of the fat. And on the point side, it has a nice layer of fat. Some people like to trim it off, but I don't like to trim my fat. I let it cook off. Now, what we're going to start with is I like to start with about 3 scallions, 2 stalks of celery, 2 carrots, 1 bell pepper, 1 white pepper, 1 white onion, and 1 purple onion. I always like to cook with thyme. My thyme is always on point. We got the Worcestershire sauce, we got the soy sauce, we got the beef broth, and I have my liquid smoke. For my rub, I start with 1 tablespoon of my sweet and smoky hickory, the rub. I have my Old Bay. I have 1 tablespoon of that. I have my paprika, 1 tablespoon of that. I have my ground cumin, depending on what you want to call it, a tablespoon of that. My garlic, 1 tablespoon. My adobo, love that, 1 tablespoon. Tablespoon of black pepper, tablespoon of onion powder. I'm going to be adding a little bit of my accent. I'm going to mix it all together in a bowl. So let's get started. I take each one and I just dump them all in the bowl. It don't matter what order, just dump them all in the bowl. They're all going to be mixed together. Now that we got them all mixed together, we're just going to stir them up real good so it makes a nice consistent mixture. You can use an egg beater if you want. You can use your fingers if you want. I just use a spoon. Now make sure it's nice and mixed up real good. Make sure you have no lumps in it. Now that that's all mixed up, I add a little bit, about a tablespoon, half a tablespoon, we'll make it a tablespoon, of our accent. Now rub it up real good, and we're done. Now, we've done mixing our rub. We're going to set that for a side. What I like to do is I like on the fat side, I'm just going to score the meat. Just going to score it. So that way all of my juices, or all of the spices can seep down into it when the fat cooks off. So just scoring it. So now that I got it nice and scored, I'm going to start applying my rub. We're gonna get it down in between all the scored parts. I want every single piece of meat. I use one hand to push it in and one hand to sprinkle it on. One hand stays clean and one hand is used for your sprinkling. So when you got that side nice and covered and the rub pressed down in between real good, I turn it over and I do the same thing on this side. One hand stays clean, one hand does my pressing. Make sure everything is covered. I get the sides. And the onion all around. I go heavy one, put it up. I'm just going to close it up and let it sit there while I prepare the rest of my vegetables and my sauces. So let that sit right there. Set that to the side. Now we're going to prepare our vegetables. The first thing I want to do is I want to cut up my carrots, set them aside. Got We're going to take I like to take the black skillet and I like to turn it on to medium, and I like to add the extra virgin olive oil. Not too much, just enough to coat the pan. And we're going to let that heat up for a minute. About when it starts to smoke like that, you know that your oil is ready. So we're going to take out our meat and we're going to put it in. I like to put the fat side, the point side down first and let it cook. When you hear that sound, you know that your oil is right. And so we're going to let it cook until it browns on both sides. And I like to let it sit on each side for about 4 to 5 minutes. So while that's cooking, I'm going to prepare my other stuff. Now, after 5 minutes, we're just going to flip our meat over. Wow, that's a nice, pretty glaze. A little bit of charring, just right. Now we're going to let that cook for another 5 minutes. Now, after 5 minutes, we're going to remove it. And just let it rest for a minute. Now, this is why I cook my vegetables. Got my carrots. And I add to it a little bit of my Worcestershire sauce. A little bit of my soy sauce. And I stir it up for a minute. Make sure nothing's sticky. And I add about a cup of my beef broth at this time. And we let that cook for about 8 minutes. After 8 minutes, they should be nice and tender. Cut these off and set them to the side. I take my roasting pan, and I like to use aluminum foil at the base because I don't want it to be sticky and I don't want to clean it up later. Now, we're going to take our vegetables. I'm going to pour them all over your bottom of your pan. Spread them out like so. Now we're going to take our meat, and I always cook it with the flank side up. The fat side up, I'm sorry. So it looks like that. Now, this is what we're going to inject it with. I take about 2 tablespoons of Worcestershire sauce. About 2 tablespoons of my soy sauce. And I take about 2 tablespoons of my liquid smoke. Stir it up. And now we're ready to inject it into our meat. What I like to take is a meat tenderizer, and I like to punch the holes into the meat. That way, every part of it gets the juices. some people like to use and here we go. And I take it, I just let it seep right down into the holes. Everybody does it differently. Let me just show you how I get mine on all the flavor of the meat. Don't just pour it on, I just put it on and let it take time to seep into the holes. Take your time. Take your time. Now that's going to be nice and tender and juicy. Okay. And that's what it looks like when it's done and ready to go into the oven. Put it in the oven. This we're going to add our spices. I like to add my thyme. That's my favorite. I put this stuff on everything. That's what it looks like when it's nice and covered. But next thing I want to do is I want to cover it with aluminum foil and put a nice seal on it. I'm going to cover it real good, put a nice seal all around. And it's going to cook all the fat off the meat, and the juices going to be flowing everywhere, so you don't have to worry about no juice, because the meat's going to really produce a lot of juice. So now I preheat my oven to 450 degrees, which has been preheating while we were preparing it, and now we're ready. Now oven preheated to 400 degrees. We're going to put it in, and the rule of thumb is that for every pound of meat you're going to have 1 hour cooking time. So we got 3 hours of meat, so we got 3 pounds of meat, so we got 3 hours of cooking time. So in 3 hours we'll come back and revisit it. And see, for 1 hour we want to take a look at it, and we want to do what's called baste our meat. But we're going to take some of the juices and pour it on top of the meat. Let's see what it's looking like. Just baste it over the meat. Excellent. Looks good. I'm going to close it back up. Seal it. And now we got about our time is up. So let's see what kind of concoction we have made. And here we go. Absolutely beautiful. So now, we're just going to take the meat and place it right, take all the pieces off. If you listen to that, you can hear the crust. So now, we're just going to take the meat and we're going to set it so it can rest for about 45 minutes. Wow. That is a great piece of meat. See what it looks like? Beautiful. So while that is resting, we're going to make our gravy. Pour this into a strainer. Let all the gravy, all the juices pour into the strainer. And now, what's left is all the vegetables. I'm going to set that aside for a moment. I'm going to let that strain. And we're going to use that to make our gravy. To make our gravy, we're just going to take a regular size, a medium sized saucepan. We're going to take the juice that we drained off the meat, and we're going to put about 2 or 3 tablespoons of it in the bottom. We're going to save that because we're going to use the rest later. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to take our flour. I'm going to do about 2 tablespoons of flour to make our roux. About 2.5 tablespoons. And we're going to let that heat up. Don't begin to thicken. Just want our flour to cook until it comes to a paste, just like so. Perfect. Now after you get your paste, we're going to add more of your juice. constantly stirring so it doesn't stick. If you don't stir it, it will get away from you. And at this point is where I add more of my beef broth, the remainder of my beef broth. About a half a cup that was left. I'm constantly stirring it. Now as it thickens, I'm going to add some more. Very nice. Nice consistency. Now, I'm going to add more. I'm just going to let it simmer and cook. Stirring consistently. Add the rest. And at this point, I add a little bit of water to thin it out. Now you're cooking with some gravy. Now, what I like to do in the end is add a little bit of our vegetables. We're not going to use any of the thyme. We got to take that out. But I just add a little bit of our vegetables. About that much to give it that extra kick. And there you have the perfect gravy. That's what I want about it, right there. Perfect. The chunks of vegetables in it. And now you have a gravy to die for. Look at that. Look at that. That's beautiful. At this point, I transferred over to my storage dish for storage and for transport, for ease of handling. Just pour it right in there. Look at that. That is beautiful. Now you got gravy you can use on rice. You can keep it in your refrigerator for up to a week. You can put it on anything you want. Rice, potatoes. And there you have it. So we're just going to put this right here and set it aside. Comes our moment of truth, where we get to cut it and see just how good it is. I like to use an electric knife, so give me an even cut. Wow. Look at that. That is incredible. Look how easy it just separates. No knife needed. Now I'm going to just dip a little bit of that into the gravy to see how good this tastes. Oh my God. I wish you was here to try this. Absolutely delicious. Touch. I take it and transfer it to another smaller aluminum pan. I put the other cooked vegetables, the remaining cooked vegetables in it. Now I want to take my meat and just set it right here in the middle. So, there you have a complete dish. Look at that. Oh my God, that is delicious. And there you have it. Finish the meal up. You got your brisket with mixed vegetables, sauteed vegetables. I got my barbecue baked beans, and I have green beans and white potato, Idaho potatoes, sauteed. And of course, we got our gravy. My goodness, it is time to feast. Bon appetit. And once again, I want to thank you for sharing my kitchen with me and my recipe for oven roasted brisket. My name is Dr. Lenny Moore, clinical hypnotherapist and celebrity chef. You can follow me on Facebook at Lenny Moore, hypnotist or hypnosis, or Instagram at Lenny J. Moore, or Twitter at Lenny Moore, or my website at drlennymore.com. Thank you. If you enjoy this recipe, like it on YouTube, share it, cook it for your family. I'm sure you'll be the hit of the family. Thank you.